There's always this push in the animation industry to be a specialist. I've always kind of felt that if you want to be a specialist in animation, you got to be really good. You got to be really good at what you're working on. You got to it's kind of that whole thing of you have to work 10,000 hours at something for it to be truly to be a true master of it. Not saying that I don't want to be a master or that nobody should be, but 10,000 hours is a lot of hours. Just to kind of put that in perspective, the first film I worked on in college for my thesis, which wasn't incredibly good, but I still put a lot of hours in. I actually did tracking on it. I tracked the hours, and from tracking the hours, I realized that I'd put about 450 hours into it. With that, I realized it kind of was a way for me to see how much, if I freelance after school, how much I would charge for a 4-minute animated film, or how many hours it would take me to make a film of the same quality. And it kind of just gave me a good idea about how much things cost, especially when I'm doing them myself. Currently, at Nick, a big part of my job is also figuring out and giving quotes on how long projects will take. I mean, individual animators will also give quotes, but I think it's important to realize that you would have to make probably 10 or 20 of those films to really become a master at it. And that's fine and all, but like for me, like when I was in school, I really wanted to be like a Disney animator, and you'd be working in the old, on The Lion King or one of those things, or Beauty and the Beast. And that whole industry died out, and then I had to adapt. So, being a generalist and still having a technical background, albeit not professional technical background, it made me realize that what I really need to do is just be a good animator and to kind of understand the whole process of how stuff's made. So basically you can either be a generalist where you understand everything about animation, or you can be a specialist and just be really good at one thing. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like, especially teaching, there's a lot of people who aren't really adept enough to be that specialist, or even have the patience. A lot of it is just, I don't want to do storyboarding day in and day out. I don't want to work on one show all day long. I've worked on short-term show projects for like a year and a half, and it gets really tedious. It's fun, and it definitely is worth an experience, but I like what I do, which is I get to work on a lot of different small projects and experience different styles and work with different creators. And I think that's a little bit more interesting than just doing a one-off project for years and years and years. It's not to say that there's anything wrong with that. It's not to say that for some people that works better. But knowing myself and knowing how I like to do things, I'm very scattered. I mean, it's probably one of the reasons why I haven't been able to finish this film, is I've just been doing other things. I've been playing with my iPad, doing illustrations, I was doing side projects. Currently I teach, though right now because it's summer break I'm not. But all those things eat up time. And if that's time that could be spent becoming a better animator, or becoming very much better at a specific thing, I kind of just don't care. What I kind of feel is like there's this shame that comes with it. When I had an intern years ago who I guess wanted to be an animator, and he was kind of shocked that I didn't want to just get out of working at Nick. And the work that I was doing there was video game work at the time for preschool. And it was fun, but it was also really stable, really good, and the money was good. I was able to have a life. I was able to have weekends, have late nights, going out and stuff, and meeting friends and stuff. And if I was working on other stuff, I may have not had that. It's not to say that that is everybody's experience, or that other people may have not had other better experiences in actually doing work that way, but I just didn't feel like career path was the way I wanted to go. I kind of feel that there is some shame in the industry if you don't want to work in a feature film or want to do bigger things, even in VFX. Like I follow Reddit a lot, and the VFX section in Reddit is a lot of snobbery. It's a lot of people thinking that this type of compositing or this type of working is the only way to work, and everybody else is just wrong. I'm just picking a different color right now. Is that really how you want to live? Is that like, alright, so some people want to work in After Effects. Does that make them less of a compositor than somebody who works in Nuke? There's plenty of people who work in programs like Nuke who aren't that good, and there's plenty of people who are After Effects compositors who are far better than some Nuke compositors. I've even had to do rudimentary work years ago in After Effects cutting masks, and at the time there was a more pricier package for doing it, which isn't as common now, but it was called Flame. It's still around. I think Autodesk actually bought it, and the studio I was working for was competing against it. And what was interesting was that the mask cutting that was being done in After Effects was actually far better than was being done in the much higher and much more expensive Flame studio. Now, After Effects is built, or at least back when I was doing it, was built to do masking far better. But just because you use a specific tool doesn't mean that you're lesser than. And going back to the generalization, I think that you should, as an artist in this day and age, know a lot about the ins and outs of everything. It's like if you're a comic book artist, you should know how the print process works. You should know how to lay your own type. You should know how to write. You should know the whole process. You shouldn't just be an illustrator. Should you work with people who are better writers than you and learn to and collaborate with people who are better at it than you? Sure, because that will make you a better artist, and it will make your work better when you collaborate. You need to, I feel like you need to be able to see every aspect of it to start, so you know what parts you're good at and what parts you're bad at. Thanks, good night.